am I ready to give up a steady income to start something that is uncertain, and you're putting in all your life savings into it? I mean, the worst is I lose all my money, right?
I don't want them to think that they've sent me to university for nothing. Like, what's this crazy guy doing, right?
It's a lot of tears in this business sometimes,
Hey there, welcome back to Behind the Counter, the show that takes you on an in-depth exploration of minds and hearts of Malaysian business owners. My name is Arman, your host, and I'm so excited to bring you on this journey as we get up close and personal with some of our favorite business owners in Malaysia. And this is not your typical podcast. Well, it's like a VIP pass to discover the fascinating and thrilling world of business owners and their secrets to success. So guys, let's get to it. Let's go. All right. So today we're speaking to the extraordinary Chong and Brian Jeevan, co-owners of Piccoli Lotti. How you guys doing?
Yeah, doing good. Doing great.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
So before we begin, can you introduce yourself and tell me where you guys from?
Hey guys, I'm Brian Jeevan, and I am from Kajang. I was initially born and also raised in Kajang, then later on moved towards PJ side to pursue this business, basically.
So for me, I grew up in KL, PJ. I was born in JB, but I spent most of my life in KL, PJ.
Can you take us back to how your journey with Piccoli Lotti started?
It's I guess it's always been a dream to start a gelato ice cream business, but it wasn't something that I envisioned to happen when I started my career. I've always been a fan of eating ice cream and gelato, so there's a passion there. So I spent more than 10 years in corporate, doing various roles from consulting to audit, marketing, and projects. And I stumbled upon this opportunity when I was working for an FMCG business, and I was handling their ice cream business. And the market research that we did showed that there was a huge potential in artisanal ice cream in Malaysia. It was very nascent then. Not many players, and the players who were on board or in the country were from overseas and commercially driven ice cream business, not artisanal in the true sense. So it's something that I've been pondering for a while to start. And so, and from there, I quit my job. I went to Italy to train to be a gelato chef. And as they say, the rest is history. Piccoli Lotti is what it is today.
How about you, Brian? How did you get started?
Initially, I was actually a project engineer, graduated as a mechanical engineer. And I think during that time where I travel overseas very, very often, one day I did ponder to myself, let's just say once I get a family, or would this still be my lifestyle? Like traveling overseas so often, how would I raise my child? That means I wouldn't be such a present father during the raising years of my, when she's still little and so on like that. So that's when I started thinking, like, what should I do next? Because if I go back into this industry, then it's just a different company with the same circumstances, right? So what do I do next, right? And then from there only, I felt that I was led towards moving into business. And that is when I brainstorm, looked into various ideas. Obviously, dessert is something I love from the beginning, but never would I ever thought that I'll go in an F&B industry. But somehow I thought once the opportunity came, I was like, okay lah. For me, it's a bit different. I didn't quit my job first. I went to learn it first, just to see if I can do it or not first. Then I realized that there's a lot of calculation involved when coming to actually doing gelato. And it's something that is not hard for me because I'm in engineering. There's more complicated mathematical formulas and so on like that, right? So it's something I could do. Then I came back, tried it out a few times and realized that, hey, this is something I can take seriously. Then I think roughly about 3 months later, I tendered in my resignation and went full-time on this, basically. Yeah.
Right before you wanted to quit, right? What was going on in your head at that time before actually starting doing this?
Obviously, for me, it's like I had to be very, very sure, 110%. So a lot of work went into, doing research and, basically doing your homework. making sure you know what you're getting yourself into. And the important aspect is that you need the support of your family. You need to have their blessing because business is it's already a challenge. The last thing you want is, you're getting challenges at work and also at home. Of course, my parents, I don't want them to think that they've sent me to university for nothing. Like, what's this crazy guy doing, right? Yeah, I mean, they need to be convinced that I am not doing this on a whim or impulse. Basically, I have to convince them as if I'm going to convince an investor, like the business case of doing this business. It's a sound one, it might look crazy on the surface, but there is an opportunity there.
Same thing like Chong as well. Like, am I ready to give up a steady income to start something that is uncertain, and you're putting in all your life savings into it? Uh, but after pondering about it and talking to my mom about it and so on like that, then my mom did say that what's the worst can happen? I mean, the worst is I lose all my money, lah, right? I was really scared to talk to my dad, especially because, uh, how am I going to tell my dad, oh, dad, can I scoop gelato for a living after this? Then you'll be like, all that money spent on the engineering. What happens to that, right? So, but thankfully, because my dad and my mom was business people as well previously, so I think they actually really, it shocked me as well. They actually took it in a very good way. They were like, yeah, go ahead. You have our blessings. Make sure to pray all the time before you start something. If you have the peace, move forward with it and so on. Like, so that's what I did. Lah.
I like the word that both of y'all mentioned, blessings, right? So what has been the blessing when you guys opened up Piccoli Lotti?
Before I decided on the business, I decided what values I want. And I always wanted a business whereby people feel much happier when they leave it. I mean, nobody goes out of a gelato shop crying, right? Unless they broke up in the gelato shop itself, lah. Then, so sorry for that, lah. But you get what I mean, right? So I think it's such a blessing that we get to spread joy to the people around. And sometimes people are always having a tough week, a tough day, a tough year. It's nice to see when people come in, they're actually full of laughter and, talking to their friends, doing catch up with their family, with their friends and their kids. So it's something that we feel that it's nice to see this atmosphere in our outlets, basically.
Chong, I want to ask you, why did you choose the name Piccoli Lotti and what's the story behind it?
It wasn't an easy choice to come to that name. So I figured, okay, this business is an artisanal ice cream, artisanal gelato place. And that means that, our gelato are made in small batches. And then it's also an Italian philosophy in making ice cream, hence the gelato name. So I try to marry these two concepts together. So Piccoli Lotti means small batch. I think Piccoli is a fairly famous term in Malaysia. Most people will order Piccolo latte, which means a smaller cup of latte. But for us, Piccoli means small, and Lotti means batch or lot. A small batch. So basically, I just named the business Small Batch in Italian.
2017 business Piccoli Lotti was open. And Brian, you came in quite later,
Yes,
right?
I came in roughly about 1.5 years later, roughly about that.
How did you guys meet in the first place?
Okay. So irony behind it is actually we were competitors at that time, but somehow we felt that, although we are competitors, we don't have to be rivals in a sense. So we always had friendly chats here and there, like, hey, how's business doing? So in the beginning, that's how it started off. It was just literally a friendly chat, going by his outlet, and then I just walked up to him, and then we started talking and just having just friendly conversation. That's about it. Yeah.
I think when the opportunity came, that I heard that, Brian's leaving his other business, and I thought, hey, I always needed a business partner, and I needed a business partner that have the same values. It's difficult to find that, and also Brian's like a prayer answered, that he was first available, and then he agreed to come on board on this crazy ride. So yeah, and we are it's good to have somebody in the trenches with you, the daily battles, and truly understand what it means to be a business owner as opposed to, working for a corporation.
Who approached who first when it comes to Piccoli Lotti?
I approached Brian because when I found out that he's so-called available, and so it was very natural actually. It wasn't like, well, I had to like sleep over it over weeks or something like that, because we always, like I say, we always maintain that a good relationship. We sort of can able to click with each other. So I reckon, personality wise, value wise, yeah, of course, we would have disagreement. I think it goes without saying that if you're passionate about something and you feel strongly about it, you have your own opinions about things. But by and large, I felt that he would be the perfect business partner to come on board to help grow this business. We had that chat. He thought about it, and then he said, "Hey, why not? Right? We only got one life, YOLO." Yeah.
Then Brian, like, how long did it take you to, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna join Piccoli Lotti.
I think our discussion took about a month. I think, if I'm not mistaken, like just giving me time to first propose to my then girlfriend, and then also to pray about it, ponder about it, rethink it through. Is it something I want to go back into, and so on like that. So yeah.
What values that you guys saw in each other that made you guys like, okay, you know what? Let's give this the shot.
So I think one of the most important things is we didn't want to waver in the sense of the quality of our product, regardless of the price point of what the suppliers might give to us. I think that was one of the most important things we talked about. Another part is also, I think we had quite a number of values, but the most important thing we talked about was that. Bro, do you remember the others? Sorry, it was
I
7 years
think,
ago, so
yeah.
now like I have to really think it through properly.
I think, I mean, as a business, you find in a public-facing business, somehow, consumer business, you always find obstacles and challenges, whether it's from your customer, your supplier, or even the authorities, and there's always this pressure to cut corners, either to expedite something or to make more money. So if your values cannot withstand this kind of pressure, it will only get worse as the business grow. The pressure will, the same situation will have more impact or repercussion. So in that sense, it's good because we are consistent. We hope that our customer sees it, our employee sees it, and our supplier will see it as well. How we conduct ourselves and our business. That's very important.
So, what roles do you guys like play in the business?
Brian handles the central kitchen, and then I handle the front of house, so to speak, so all the retail outlets, right? So that is the general big distinction in our roles. But we wear multiple hats. We are the procurement manager, the finance manager, the HR manager, in all our respective areas. And we needed to divide because it's impossible to do everything, right? Especially if you want to grow, you need to be fast. And I think in a nutshell, we segregate our roles that way, but we all do almost everything in those sections.
However, when it comes to creating new flavors, R&Ding new flavors, we definitely put our heads together on it, because I have my set of different taste buds that I like, and Chong has his different taste buds as well. And sometimes putting both our heads together, we create something even better. So we always try to run it through each other just to make sure that the product is up to so-called Piccoli Lotti standards lah. Yeah. So, but other than that, yeah, it's roughly like what Chong actually mentioned it.
You segue perfectly to the next question I wanted to ask. That then, what was the process like when you guys come up with new flavors?
So, usually we try to target for each holiday to create something new, and that's when we usually have a timeline already for both of us. More like I come up with something, and then Chong checks it through, see if it's okay, and then see if he has another input or another idea behind it or something that is actually good. You just need a bit more tweaking to make it great. But usually, most of the time, it's both of us, or sometimes actually our team members actually plays their part as well to come in and give us ideas as well. Because sometimes, 7 years we have exhausted our ideas, and sometimes actually our team members come up with really pretty good ideas that we actually take into consideration, or we have actually launched it also as well. So that's usually the process behind it. But sometimes when we feel that, what is really not that good, then we will just have to scratch everything off, restart everything again. Yeah. But in between the blues and all that, suddenly we find something nice that we have read somewhere, or something we have tasted in something else or what, and we want to incorporate it. Because both of us are actually technically trained, right? So we can create any flavor into a gelato. So if you have tried maybe a kueh or whatever it is, something from a nasi lemak or whatever it is, and we feel that, hey, this could be actually a gelato flavor that might taste good, then we will try to incorporate it in and see if it tastes good. And if it does, then we'll just launch it after. We'll just see the timeline when would be the best time where, there's not much holidays and nothing much is buzzing. So that's when we try to make a buzz by launching something new, basically.
So we do have a roadmap for the year, and it's very driven by the festive season. Of course, we have so many festivities, It's almost like every quarter you have one, right? If you kind of like divide the number of big celebration across the year, even more, right? So yeah, so it's always surrounding that. It's always the best time to launch something. People are in a mood of going out, enjoying themselves, after the experience. So we want to offer them something something new, maybe. You don't want Piccoli Lotti to be stale brand. And yeah, and our creativity and inspiration comes from everywhere. I think it would be very narrow for us to limit the source of the ideas only between both of us, because we also want our team to have ownership, and feel like they're part of the, in growing this business as well.
What's the oddest flavor that you guys made?
Blue cheese gelato, try to make blue cheese gelato. I use gorgonzola, which is a blue vein cheese. And that night, I just went around letting everyone taste it for free. I just want to see the reaction of the customers, right? Like when they first tried it, and of course, as expected, most people can't take to the flavor, but then there are some who are like, they are enthusiasts, about trying flavors. They be like, wow, so unique. And they're like, cheese lovers, and they're like, whoa, not strong enough. I'm like, whoa, have another scoop then. But yeah, it's really great to see their expression, and they're always polite, the customer, and surprised. They want to be encouraging, and I guess they are so happy that we let them try something very different. Otherwise, we wouldn't get a chance to try blue cheese gelato.
What were the biggest challenges that you guys face as business partners, and how do you guys overcome it?
Wow. Bro, you want to go first?
To borrow a term, you can't live with them, you can't live without them. And yeah, so they are so integral part, right? About the business. People always talk about talent management and growing your talent. So it's true for any business, whether gelato or not. And that I would say is our biggest challenge.
Another part of the business which we definitely find it challenging is always when you're getting bigger, to maintain a very good quality of your product. Because the last thing you want to hear from your customers is, oh, the minute you started growing a lot of outlets, your quality is no more the same. Then it's something that we always uh, take it very seriously. So we are not only doing quality control right now, we are also doing troubleshooting as well. Because we need to know where went wrong, right? We have to investigate. So I think these are all the challenges that you go through as a business owner, especially when you want to scale. You want to make sure your quality is good, your customers still trust in the brand, trust in you, that you carry the brand as what it was last time until you grow even bigger, that kind of thing, and not giving comments like, oh, your quality dropped already and all that. And it's not something nice for you to hear as a business owner, because you know how you started off the business and you want to maintain that good quality as you grow it.
Then, like, can you share with us and how did you guys started out getting your first few customers? Like, can you share with us any strategies or tactics that worked?
I think for any small business that you start, if you are a retail-driven business, meaning consumer fronting or public-facing type of business, it's always good to open your business in a place that you are familiar with, because your first few customers will always be your friends and family. Let's not kid ourselves. You'll always be supported by your friends and family, not because you don't have nothing to offer, but because nobody knows you, and you want somebody to trust you enough that they will open their wallet and pass you their cash, right? So until you build that legitimacy, or you have gained that right for a customer to pay you, you always be supported by your friends and family. So open somewhere convenient and very convenient for your friends and families to come support you lah.
Has there been a time that you thought of giving up, and how do you overcome that feeling?
Oh, wow. For sure, when times get tough, you tend to want to always just give it up, go back into your corporate life. I think that's very, very normal. I don't think so. Any entrepreneur just goes like up, 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 up all the way. It's never like that. It's up, down, up, down, up, down. And sometimes the down is quite down, really rock bottom. Sometimes we just ask ourselves, why did we get into this? How did we end up here over here? You get what I mean? I think that's a very normal journey of an entrepreneur. But for sure, we always go back to the values behind it, why we started it, why we started this off, and so on. Because we wanted to make a difference in the industry. So we always remind ourselves why we are doing this. That's why it's good to have, like, you're not doing the business alone, because most of your problems, you can share it with your wife, your friends, and so on like that. But the ones that really understand how you feel is actually your own business partner, because they are in it with you and they understand what you're saying, and whatever they're going to reply to that has credibility, because they are in it with you, not just like some people from the outside giving advice, which is okay, which is good. But when somebody's in it with you, it has a bit more credibility, and they also understand how you feel truly, because it's a lot of tears in this business sometimes, a lot of tears, a lot of beers.
What was the biggest achievement that you guys have so far, and what's the lessons that you learned throughout the way?
The biggest achievement is that we are still alive.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. You have seen a lot of gelato shops or ice cream shops open, close, open, close. So yeah.
And questions like that is great, like from you, Aiman, like asking, what's your greatest achievement? Because we have been just doing, every day is an achievement. We try to achieve something, and reflecting on it gives us strength, lah. We've gone through a lot, and we will go through more, and so it like gives you foundation, lah. To do more, do better.
Okay, I wanted to ask her then, what advice would y'all tell yourself back then?
So I think one of the biggest advice I would give myself is, you can plan it. It is good to plan, but most of the time would not follow according to the plan. Give an example. We are supposed to hit our 6th outlet way behind that, way before. However, pandemic hit and there was a lot of restrictions and we couldn't open it and so on like that. So that was one of the biggest restrictions that we had, or the plans that we decided to move but didn't. And there's so many other things like moving central kitchen, or the plan to open in a certain location, but somehow, we didn't get the lot that we wanted to, and so on like that. So I feel that, planning things is good, but you must be fluid enough to go with the flow when things doesn't go according to what you have planned it to be. Because I think me and Chong along the way, my goodness, the amount of times we have actually changed our plans is a lot. Not just opening outlets, is even from flavors to hiring, to the plans that we had for Christmas. Okay, we're going to open on this day, then suddenly realize, oh, I guess we have to close it, or so on like that, because of various reasons and so on like that. Or today we're going to open shop and suddenly there's a power supply cut, and then you don't know what to do next, and then you just have to be fluid. You have to just know, okay, what is the next move you're going to make now, and then so on like that. So I think, being an entrepreneur, you just have to be very fluid with the circumstances that will come in. Yeah.
Well, if looking back, I would tell myself to maybe take a bit more time. But by and large, I think if I had to do it again, I think most of the things we would have decided the same. We'll come back to the same, because we did give it a lot of thought for a lot of big things that we need to decide lah. And the other thing, like what Brian mentioned, and it's so cliche, the only certainty is uncertainty. You always expect. I think if you're at peace that you expect things to happen, you won't get so stressed over it. You don't question why. Is it happening and all that kind of stuff, because it's just part and parcel. Nothing. That circumstance will not change. So you can only change yourself, right? How you look at it, your outlook. So if you're not, you're gonna be like super stressed out lah. So if you accept it, you don't get hung up over why it happens. You put more energy and time into solving it lah.
Okay, then going back to the 6 locations, right? Then what was your thought process, like you guys made a thought process when you wanted to decide, hey, we should expand here? What are some of the aspects that you really need to pay attention to?
It's not rocket science, in the sense that because we are not the first gelato or dessert or ice cream shop to be open. So you always have a good reference point, whether it's your competitor or whether you're familiar with the area. I think the most important aspect is that, because if you ask people, oh, what are the like big township and city, right? It's very like most people can name it, PJ, KL, Ampang. They can name all the big city, Puchong, Cheras, I think, yeah, it's well known. Places like that is well known, right? But then if you zoom in a bit more, then you got to find out, like, okay, what are the demographics? Even within that big area, you have different demographics. Where do they go mostly? And are we in a blind spot? We always worry about that. It looks like a good place. You see cars, you see people walking, you see restaurant filled up. But then, there's always this one or two shop, right? Like nobody will step in on for whatever reason, or that one row of shop that is always dead. Even like, even if even you go down to downtown, or even in like Damansara Uptown, or even SS2, you will see like, it's a buzzing area, but then there will always be blind spots where the traffic flow just doesn't go. So those are the things that we are very wary about, because you can the easy part to spot is always the attractiveness. The one that you will miss is like the blind spot, like, because you cannot explain it, right? It's not like it's like 100-meter away. It's just right next door, and then it's already a blind spot. So those are things that we are quite wary about. The other thing is that we always want to be in a neighborhood. We want to be in a neighborhood kind of a vibe, as opposed to a very commercial area. So we're always thinking about families coming to our place. How convenient it would be. Whether it would be a very nice environment. Like, would you take your family? Well, I take my family there. Where I drive, make the effort, park there. Hear my children whine, and then walk them across to the shop. Would you do that? I think that would be one of the acid tests lah for the location.
Do you guys actually go to all the 6 locations? Sorry, like how is it like managing 6?
Tiring. It's I mean, obviously when you grow, you have an idea, like, okay, what you're gonna do and what you're gonna do, right? And then every day there will be something that will take you off your schedule. whether it's a meeting or you got to troubleshoot, or or even yourself you fall sick. You know what I mean? So uh, basically, you need to empower, you need to be able to trust your outlet managers to perform their role. There's only so much you can keep tabs off, and you cannot be omnipresent, right? And it'd be difficult to go all six outlet in every day, for example. So you have to empower, and then it's not perfect. You got to continuously train because there will be changes in personnel, and you got to train again. You hope that they understand your culture, what you're about. And, so it's constant. Basically, this is something you need to drive constantly. Because even as we are still doing this, you will still get customer complaint. You will still get staff that don't perform as expected, and yeah, you still get all this. Despite your efforts, so you either do more, or like I said earlier, like you got to accept that when you're doing this business, there will be you take the bad with the good lah. But the idea is not to be complacent about the issues that arise.
How do you guys make sure that Piccoli Lotti is different than other stores?
Figuring out that part would be, because if you realize most of our outlets or all our outlets, we have a mix of crowd that comes in, from parents bringing kids to young adults, sometimes uncles and aunties, up to grandmas and grandpas as well. So we always try to cater our flavors according to the demographic that we have actually placed, because like what Chong said, right, we are very known to go into housing areas kind of a demographic. That means a very neighborhood kind of a feel, right? So a neighborhood kind of feel is more towards families or young adults with children and so on like that. So we make sure that our flavors can cater to all kinds of variety of demographic people, from the young up to the old as well. That means our flavors must be exciting enough for the small ones that come. They enjoy the few colors that are on our display, up to the old ones where it's not too sweet, and they themselves can indulge in our gelato and find it that they have a place, or their taste buds does match our product as well. So I think that is one of our unique flavors. So even our seating and all that, we make sure that we look into these aspects as well, for the kids as well, up to the elderly people that comes into our shop.
So we do have a certain philosophy, and idea about how we want to position. It's about the experience, right? From the shop design, the location, the product flavors that we offer, the store seating, setting the vibe. So of course, it's easy if we have like a automated scooping counter. You go there, talk to the robot, they scoop for you. That would be a differentiating experience. Or like in Japanese ramen shop, you just order the flavor, and then somehow you walk to the counter, under the curtain, someone will hand you a scoop of gelato. So yeah, I mean, those are very obvious differentiation, right? I think the challenge is creating a difference when it's not obvious. Something like the customer can experience, and then it's different lah, but you cannot like really put your hand to it, right? And I feel like that would be something that's difficult to replicate by your competitor, because if the customer can identify it like just like that, who else, right? I mean, let alone your competitor who's going to analyze you left, right, center, right?
Mm.
To take away your competitive edge.
Mm.
If it's technology, someone can copy. If it's a certain color, someone also can adopt the color. So, but for us, it's more about the experience. You got to come and try, judge for yourself if Piccoli Lotti is different or not. Because if you don't find any difference, you will go somewhere else. The customer who stays feel that we are different enough. They like it. They like that difference.
So everybody hearing should come and try us out.
Then
6 outlets we have.
going back to the questions of customers, how do you guys retain customers?
How do we retain customers? It's at the moment we that's one of the areas that we are not investing enough. Like having a CRM to help identify your customers who walk in and out, knowing their purchase behavior and frequency and all that. I think we have those data for our delivery platform because customer order and they have to key in their information. So we are able to identify our customer segment. Our in-store one is something that is an area that we need to put more effort into investment to know your customer. I think this is a inevitable journey that we have to take, and all businesses have to take. You need to know your customer, and you need to be able to reach out, engage them in a more, I would have to say, in a more technological way, you know, because the manual is like the store, right? You come in, you have the experience, you get the service, and etc. But now you got to reach them out, and the only way to do it is digital or technology.
Okay, now we're gonna be okay. So now we talk about business and everything like that. Now I want to play a game with you guys.
Right.
You guys think it's just talk,
Gonna make
Okay.
us work.
Now, okay. So basically, we're gonna be playing rapid fire questions. So if when I ask you a question, you guys have to answer it the first thing that comes up in your
Oh
mind.
man, this is bad.
Uh, okay. So we're gonna start now. If you were a gelato flavor, which one would you be and why? We'll start with Brian.
Forest berries, because I like that it's a bit of a yogurty taste, and I love berries flavors, and the crumble gives a very nice touch to it. So forest berries.
I think I'll be a dark chocolate flavor. Yeah, I can be tough and bitter, but I'm pleasant in the end.
Okay, then Chong, then if your business partner was a gelato flavor, what do you think they would be and why?
Oh, that's a tough one. But I know Brian loves chocolate, so I would naturally think of chocolate flavor or any chocolate related flavors. When it comes to Brian, because that's his love. Uh, yeah. So you ask me personality, wow, very hard. Like right now, it would be very difficult for me to think about. I'll just think about chocolate related flavors.
How about you, Brian? What do you think Chong would be a flavor?
I would say chrysanthemum, because he's very light. He takes things easy. He knows how to take his time to respond to people. He's not very heavy, that kind of a thing. So I would go with chrysanthemum. Yeah.
Okay.
See, what other people think about me and what I think about myself is quite different.
Well, so
Uh, okay, then. Okay, all right. So, what's the one thing that keeps you guys going?
building a legacy for the future. Why we are doing what we are doing is because it's not just for now, it's for the generations to come. That's why we build something on our own, so that our generations that come can reap the reward that we have actually built something up from scratch. And not many people do it, and not many people succeed from doing it. Not to say that we are already there, we have got a long way to go. We are not close to where we want to hit our target yet. But yeah, building an empire or building something from scratch for our generations to come is something that always keeps us going, because it's not just about us, it's about our kids, our family, and so on, like that.
Like, our customer feedback helps us because it's very encouraging to, despite the many years, you still have people still discovering your brand, and saying good things about it, because you can't win everyone. If that was the case, then we are the only brand standing, right? But it's not, because people have preference, and that's also the beauty of it, right? And there's choices. I also would want choices if I'm a gelato eater, right, or ice cream eater, and but the idea is that you are doing something right, lah, despite your struggles and all your challenges. In the end of the day, you are doing something right, and it's worth it, and you can see it from your customer. Whether it's their facial expression when they try a certain flavor, or their feedback that they they give to you, you know. And I recall one incident whereby a customer actually took the time to write us a message on our napkin. You know, she drew, you know, she drew, and then she wrote a message. Right? Very very good, very nice handwriting, and very good at illustration, you know, drawing. And yeah, and you know, she thank us for being in the neighborhood, for being there, you know, and you know, tiny shop, and we managed to play a role in her life, right? So that is like you know, mind blasting for us, right? Like, wow, okay, we never saw it that way, but yeah, so it makes us very cognizant about even though we are a shop in a community, we also play a role, and we have that responsibility also to the community that we are open or do our business in.
In our previous episode, so we asked Rahmat Bahudin, he of Chef Kecil, and he's asking you guys this: like, some businesses die after or stop after the owner dies. So what's your plan to maintain your business's legacy?
Are you trying to say if both of us die together at the same day? Because that's a bit hard for it to happen. But
But yeah, he's asking like, how do you guys? What's your plan after the business to maintain the legacy?
You mean a continuity lah
Correct.
of the business without us? I know, even though we said that, you know, long-term planning is good, but I think this is way long. This is hyper long. Yeah, it's a tough one. If you ask us right now, it's difficult to see it grow without the founders because we're at a growth stage, right? Yeah, if you're an established business, you know, you have all your SOP, you have all your middle management, you have your people in place. Usually, you know, the owners already lepak a bit already because, you know, they're surrounding themselves with a good team, you know, and their input is important but not integral for day to day. Right? Obviously they can take a step back. But right now our role is still very integral on the day to day basis. So it depends on like the context that chef asked about, you know, how to continue the business. Obviously, what Brian said about, you know, it's a legacy. If you can build this business to a size where you can leave it to your next generation, right? Then yeah, why not, right? It's you have a good thing. Why don't you just pass it on, right? You know how long you want to hold on to it. Not tired out working. And, um, yeah, so like of course, if we get to that stage, it's natural to think succession planning. But right now, you need to succeed to have a succession plan. So let's settle the first one first.
Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so is there anything else that you guys would love to leave with our listeners? Any final thoughts? An invitation, perhaps a sneak peek of what's gonna happen for you guys in 2024?
we are planning to open one more outlet. We have already locked it down. So just stay tuned for that. And yeah, thank you so much for actually supporting the brand. If you already been supporting the brand, we really, really appreciate it. Every customer means a lot to us. The ones that have not tried our brand, please do try our brand. I'm quite sure you'll love it. Quite sure you'll start coming back for more. And thank you so much for having us for this interview. I think we really, really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you, StoreHub, for your beep it. I think that really helped us during the pandemic period. That was a game changer for us, actually, especially when we were trying to move into a delivery system. We were actually doing it manually in the beginning because we were, we just, any sort of income would do good. And then when the minute we found out, oh, StoreHub is actually doing this change, this game changer change, that's when we just hopped on board and made our lives so much easier during the period. And up to today, uh, actually pre-pandemic and now we were actually doing way better after the pandemic. Actually, during the pandemic and after the pandemic, we were doing better because of the delivery system that has come into the picture. So yeah, we really thank StoreHub for it as well.
Lastly, it's your turn to ask the next guest a question. So I want to ask you, what would you want to ask them for the next episode?
when do they think it's a good time to leave the business? When do you think you have enough, or enough of it, or like when you think you earn enough, or can be either way, right? But when is a good timing to leave the business?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a very good question. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, and that's it for today. Brian, Chong, it's been great chatting with you. And again, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us in this episode of Behind the Counter. And we're really excited to see what's next for Piccoli Lotti.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.